Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Today, we're going to be breaking down yesterday's 10-game NBA slate. We're not going to go through a recap, but kind of, talk briefly about some of the plays that we did like on yesterday as we jump into the feature four plays of the night. These are the four most talked about, tweeted about guys in the DFS Sweatshop, in the Facebook VIP, and as well as on Twitter. We're going to start with the who dat scoring all them points over there, player of the night. That's going to be Tyler Ennis. Dude was low owned, 0.1% owned. Nobody had him. 3K was the salary on him, and he brought back 33.25 DraftKings points. An excellent game from him. That is why tonight you, Tyler, Mr. Ennis, are the who dat scoring all them points over there, player of the night. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be the how did I miss that play tonight? Now, this especially goes to me. How the fuck did I miss this play? This is my guy. This is my favorite player in the league. Goes out at 26% owned in an early slate, 8.3K in salary. We're talking about Kemba. Kemba, Mr. Walker, 53 points for you. Excellent game there. As the Hornets tried to stay in playoff contention, we saw a very, very solid game from Kemba last night, and that is why you are the how did I miss that play tonight? Did not have Kemba anywhere. This guy we're going to talk about now. This award doesn't have to go to the highest salary guy, nor does it have to go to the guy that scored the most DraftKings points. But on nights of that, like last night, it hits both of those categories. We're talking about Russell Westbrook, man. The dude is fucking nuts. 13K was the salary. He was about 33% owned in most GPPs. Went out and brought back 75.75 DraftKings points. An excellent game for you. That's why tonight, salute to Russell Westbrook. You are the heat check play of the night. Now, we must talk about that one motherfucker. Now, this one motherfucker, I didn't have him anywhere, but he fucked up my lineup. And now, you a special snowflake. When I don't even roster you and you fucking up my lineups. I didn't even play your ass, and you still found a way to fuck up my lineups. Isn't that something? At 28% on, Nikolai Jokic goes out at 9.8K, damn near 10,000, and brings back 26.75 DraftKings points. Now I'm gonna tell you how you fucked me up, Mr. Jokic, with your snowflake ass. You took part in one of the worst offensive performances that I've seen from your team so far this year. Now you won me some money early in the year, so I ain't gonna pile the shit on you too tough. But I'm gonna tell you, you's a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass. How you gonna let the New Orleans Pelicans blow the doors off of your squad? Took my best play. The guy took Anthony Davis off the court. Didn't see him too much in the fourth quarter. You took Drew Holiday off of the court. You even took Solomon Hill's sorry ass off of the court. The only motherfucker you left out there was Tim Frazier. Good thing I had him, or I wouldn't have cashed for nothing. So tonight, Mr. Jokic, you's a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass. Let's get on with the rest of the motherfucking show. Now, we're not going to be doing a traditional recap of yesterday's games because we've got a sizzling six-game slate coming up on today. We're going to do a quick roll through of the rest of the week to see how it all shapes up. Of course, tonight, Monday, we've got six games. The nationally televised game is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers going to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. That should be a very good one. And in the late televised game, we've got another installment of Anthony Davis, the big angry bird himself with the unibrow, going to Utah to take on the Jazz. That should be a good one as well. Then on Tuesday, we've got 8 games. That's in my wheelhouse. That is where I live. I love 8-game slates. We're going to get to the money this week. Because I'm telling you, the closer we get to the close of the season, the tighter the rotations are going to get, the more predictable we're going to get, the more right I think Vegas is going to be about the point spreads. Because over the last few weeks, when there's been a lot of shuffling, teams started tanking out of nowhere. You saw teams jockeying for playoff positioning. So you saw teams jockeying for lottery positioning. So I think this week coming forward, we're going to see a smoothing out of the process, man. It's going to make it a lot easier, to come through with our predictions and make more sound decisions when it comes to who we're going to be rostering from here on out. And then once the playoffs start, it is smooth motherfucking sailing. All you got to do is have that bankroll in order to roster your guys. Stick to that 10% rule. Do not give it all back because MLB is coming up. You're about 7 days away from opening day. Thank you. I cannot wait to take my first swing at some of the DraftKings tournaments and prize pools. It's going to be a very solid MLB season. And if I had you motherfuckers with me in the beginning of NBA, we would have wrecked shop. I mean, we had a pretty good NBA season, but if I had y'all with me from the very beginning, with all of the research that's going on, very special thing too. We've got one of the sweatshop's own, man, the best kept secret in the sweatshop is going to be coming and joining me on tomorrow night's show. So you definitely want to be in tune from there because we've got some really solid information to get out to you that's going to help you throughout the rest of the season and into the playoffs. So let's go ahead and jump into some player pricing for tonight's 6-game slate. Well, but before we do that, let's just take a quick look at some of the playoff seeding because I want you to have an idea on who's playing for what. If teams are playing, if you're playing to tank, if you're playing for the lottery, if you're playing for the playoffs, we need to know. Now, on the East, in the Eastern Conference, we've got 4 teams that have already clinched a playoff spot. The seeding isn't particularly over because Cleveland, Boston, Washington, and Toronto. Those are the top 4 seeds right now in Eastern Conference. But only 3 games separate the 4th seed from the first. So there's a very real chance, a possibility, that Toronto can still play very hard, play very well, and make that first seed and get home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference. There's also a good chance that Washington and Boston can do the same thing. So we need to pay attention to these 4 teams specifically coming down the stretch because they are still playing for something. Then we've got the Atlanta Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Indiana Pacers. All 3 of those teams are tied for that 5th seed, so they've still got a lot to play for. Then we have Miami, who is a half a game ahead of the Chicago Bulls in the standings for that last final 8th seed. So those guys are playing for something. Then we've, of course, got the Chicago Bulls, who are a half game behind Miami. They are still playing for something. We've even got the Detroit Pistons that are only a game and a half out of playoff contention. Then we've got the Charlotte Hornets, who are only 2 games out of playoff contention. So from first all the way down to the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference, all of those teams are still playing for something. They're potentially playing for a playoff spot or better positioning in the playoffs. So we can definitely look to a lot of these Eastern Conference teams to roster regularly as we roll through to close out the NBA regular season. Some teams you kind of want to avoid unless you're fucking with young players or players where the narrative is very interesting and it could be a solid individual performances. The Knicks in the tank. Only guys you can really look at from the Knicks are the younger guys who want to prove that they are starters in this league. Guys like Guillermo Hernangomez, guys like Kuzminskas, who's probably going to be starting for Carmelo in some spots. On Orlando, nobody you really want to look to right now. But we're going to get into that because we do have a narrative associated with the Orlando Magic game that's coming up on tonight. Philadelphia, the only guys that you could consider there are going to be people like Dario Saric, who's probably going to be playing for Rookie of the Year honors, so we can look at him. Brooklyn Nets, nobody. There's nobody you really have to play. On the Western Conference side, it's pretty much set in stone that San Antonio or Golden State are going to get that 1 seed, the 1 and 2 seed. Houston is not that far behind. I think they're about 5 games back of that 2nd seed, 8 games back of the 1st, so they're pretty much locked in. So are the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. That would complete the 5 teams that have already gained their playoff positioning. Then we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder at 41 and 31. Those guys are still playing for something. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Portland Trailblazers, of course, are playing for something. Now, the Denver Nuggets are tied with the Portland Trailblazers as far as record goes. But in head-to-head, Portland has that advantage. So that means the Denver Nuggets are still firmly entrenched in playoff contention. For the first time in a few years, we can see a sub 500 team in the Western Conference make the playoffs. We can definitely see that. Now, Dallas, they're about 4 games back of the Denver Nuggets. 4 games back of the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers. They're pretty much out of it. I mean, fuck the Mavericks. They're pretty much out of it. You've got the New Orleans Pelicans at 31 and 42. They're pretty much out of it. Minnesota, Sacramento, Phoenix, and the Lakers. All those teams are pretty much in the tank and done. The only guys you can count on from those games are going to be young guys that they want to see get experience, or young guys that want to prove that they deserve a starting job when it comes to the start of next season. So let's go ahead and jump very quickly into the player pricing. I think I'm going to open it up here just so that we can have a decent look at it. hold it up here just so that we can have a decent look at it, so we can get an idea of what we have to look forward to tomorrow. And what I'm going to be doing, man, I'm going to be generating my personal player pool as we go through this. So, and this is why I do. This is how I do this. We've got the NBA slate coming up tomorrow. Okay, today, excuse me. We've got 6 games starting at 7:30. You see that there. We've got a 2-game turbo at 8 for all of you tilters. That something happens here crazy at 7:30, you automatically tilt to the 8 o'clock. Then we've got an 8:30 turbo. That's 3 games. Now the 8:30 turbo is Oklahoma City, Dallas, Memphis, Sacramento, and New Orleans, Utah. That is a pretty tasty turbo. That's a pretty tasty turbo that's going to definitely give you exposure to Russell Westbrook. And as he's on that chase to break the triple-double record. So that's definitely a slate a mini slate inside of the big slate that you can make some shit here, throw them bitches in the main. You do that also in the 8 o'clock turbo. That's going to be the Cleveland game and the Oklahoma City and Dallas game. So you can make something there and throw it in the turbo. The only one I wouldn't suggest you do is that later because you've got Memphis and Sacramento and New Orleans and Utah. Probably not, games that's going to be chock full of fantasy scoring. So I would avoid making something in there and throw it in the main. I would do that definitely with the 2-game turbo as well as the 3-game late and throw them bitches in the main. So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. Jump to that. And we're just going to take a look at some of the top options on the slate tonight. Here we go. Oh, bam. As you can see, the highest salary guy we've got on today's slate is going to be Russ Westbrook at 12.5. Going to Dallas, that's going to be a very tough matchup. I think the last time out against him, he was priced up to maybe 13.3 or something like that, and only brought back 60 DraftKings points. Well, the circumstances are a little bit different. The Mavericks aren't playing for much. They could get the doors blown off of them, and Russell Westbrook could go Spider-Man turkey ham. There's a very good chance of that because he needs, I think, one more triple-double to break that triple-double record or to tie it, something like that. We could definitely see him tomorrow. LeBron James at 10.3 matched up against Kawhi Leonard is not, theoretically, it's not a great play for us. But, in such a high-profile game, it's hard to not roster LeBron on TV. However, if you had to put a gun to my head to right now make me choose between LeBron at 10.3 and Kawhi at 9.5, I'm rolling Kawhi every time. Anthony Davis at 10.2 definitely is in consideration, especially if we don't see Boogie today, excuse me, and because he's here at 9.6. But if you see Boogie, I do like Anthony Davis. Look, I still like Anthony Davis because Boogie's gonna be matched up against Gobert, and that should kind of bottle him up something where we need to see Anthony Davis perform in order to have a solid fantasy scoring or just a solid scoring game from the New Orleans Pelicans in general. DeRozan, love him at 8.6. This team is still playing for that first place spot. I do like Rudy Gobert at 8K flat. Kyrie Irving is probably the play from the Cleveland side of that San Antonio game that interests me the most at 7.9K. Anytime you can get Kyrie at under 8K, you got to take a look at it. And what do we know about the San Antonio Spurs during the second half of the season? After the All-Star break, what do we know about them? Point guards can ball. Point guard, they give it up to point guards. I don't have an issue with him at all. Thinking like Vucevic at 7.8. This team is really not playing for much. Don't think I'm going to be taking a shot there. Gordon Hayward, if he does play, I do like him at 7.7. Give me some Andre Drummond. 7.6 can destroy the New York Knicks front court. And they're also playing for the playoffs. They can still make the playoffs in Detroit, so I do kind of like him. Mike Conley is a player that I do like at 7.5. No Crip stats for me. Kevin Love is interesting. Man, if we see some reports that he can play between 25 and 30 minutes today, excuse me, I definitely think we can take a look at him. Marc Gasol, if he does play, I love him. Elfrid Payton, not really for me. I mean, he's in a good spot, a solid DVP, but this team is just not playing for much, and I just don't want to take a shot at 7.1K on a guy or on a team that is not playing for playoff positioning, as there are so many others that are doing just that. LaMarcus Aldridge, 7K. This says don't do it, but I do like him. Matched up against Kevin Love in a lot of spots, I think he can have a solid game. Drew Holiday is not a play, that on the outset looks very appetizing, but man, you can score at point guard against the Utah Jazz. That's definitely a contrarian play. I see him being one of the lower owned point guards on the slate tomorrow, especially priced above 6K. Definitely. Harrison Barnes is a player I do like at 6.3. I kind of like that. No Carmelo Anthony for me tomorrow. Even if he does play, I still don't like him. Serge Ibaka, 6.1. Of course, he's playing against his former team. If they were going to Orlando, if Toronto was going to Orlando, I would like it more. Even though I still kind of like it because Toronto is playing for a playoff spot and he's going to want to play well against his former team. If the game was in Orlando, I would love it. And it's not like, well, and honestly, it's not like he spent most of his career playing against the Orlando Magic. The dude was in Oklahoma City, and they played against Oklahoma City, and he didn't even get up for that game. So I mean, the revenge narrative with Serge Ibaka, is he one of those guys that's motivated? Probably not. So I wouldn't use that narrative so much, but just the simple fact that this team is still in the playoffs and they need him to play well in order to kind of move up in the playoff seeding, I could definitely get into Serge Ibaka. Tobias Harris does stand out to me at 6K. I wish he would be seeing Carmelo Anthony defense, which is no defense at all, but I still like him in the spot that he's in. Probably matched up against Mindaugas Kuzmuskis if Melo doesn't play. Vic Oladipo, if you don't want to pay up because you think that Westbrook can struggle again like he did last time, if 60 points is struggling, you might want to look at Vic Oladipo at 6K flat. I do like Dirk Nowitzki at 6K. I think that's a solid play. George Hill is a player that I do like under 6K at 5.9. You can give me some of that. Derrick Rose. I like Derrick Rose if Carmelo doesn't play. Because Derrick Rose is probably one of the few Knicks that is playing for something. He's playing to get a job with another team next year. And we saw him have a really solid game out last time at 1% owned. That should not take place again tonight. I do like him. Buddy Hield. He is playing to show that he's one of the better young players in the league. Do I believe that? Probably not. Does he? Yes, and he's probably going to play very well. So I have an issue. Definitely have a reason to invest in him tonight. Willie Cauley-Stein is a no for me. Enes Kanter, yes, because anytime you see a tough matchup for the starting center, Steven Adams, you can look to Enes Kanter to get increased minutes off of the bench, and he's a point per minute monster. Like the dude can score and he can rebound. Doesn't play much defense, but I do like him. Seth Curry, 5.3 deserves consideration from us. He's not playing for a playoff position, but he's kind of playing to show that he's a good player in this league. And he shit the bed last time out. Nobody's gonna want to play him. I think we can look to him. Nerlens Noel is a no for me. Evan Fournier, no. Aaron Gordon, kinda. I kind of like Aaron Gordon tomorrow. Kentavious Caldwell Pope at 5.2. Matched up against Courtney Lee, who is a pretty solid defender. I'm not sure I want to fuck with KCP tomorrow. Hernan Gomez, yes. At 5.2, I don't think the ownership is going to be very high. People are going to look at Andre Drummond and be like, oh no, Andre Drummond, no, 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 and not fuck with Hernan Gomez, but I think you can, especially if he starts. Paul Gasol is a player that I kind of like at 5.2, coming off of the bench in that high-profile televised game over on TNT. Marcus Morris is a player that I do like at 5.1. Wesley Matthews, I kind of like him. Give me some Zach Randolph if we don't see Marc Gasol tomorrow. And even if we do see Marc Gasol, I think we still can fuck with Zach Randolph, man. Scala BCL is a no for me. Ish Smith, no. Derek Favors is out. Terrence Ross, I do like him. The narrative is real. They're going to be going back to Toronto, the place where he was traded from. And I think this is going to affect not only him on the Orlando side, but I think it's going to affect Norman Powell if we don't see DeMarre Carroll. Because Norman Powell, when they got rid of Terrence Ross, they said, yo, we still got Norman Powell. So I think both of those guys want to have good games against each other. Steven Adams, no. Reggie Jackson is no for me. Courtney Lee, not so much. Corey Joseph is not a player that I really like. Darren Collison, no. Valanciunas, yes. Give me some of that Valanciunas at 4.7. I am thinking of stacking Valanciunas, DeRozan, as well as Serge Ibaka tomorrow. I kind of like that. That's going to be cheap and going to allow me to pay up for Kawhi in some spots, maybe even Westbrook if I need to. Darren Williams is a no for me at 4.6. Ty Lawson, he was out yesterday. Could play tonight. If he does, I still don't like him. If Tariq Evan does play at 4.5, I do like him. No Bismack. PJ Tucker is a no for me. Tristan Thompson, he deserves consideration. I like him at 4.3. This game's gonna be on TV, man. I like him. Kuzmuskis, yes, at 4.2, especially if we don't see Carmelo Anthony, or only if you don't see Carmelo Anthony. Garrett Temple at 4.1 is a player that I do have interest in. I love John Lure at that 4.1 price tag. I like Taj Gibson at 4.1 as well. No Joe Ingles, no Joe Johnson. The only way that these guys can be considered for me is if we don't see Gordon Hayward tomorrow. Now, I know Derek Favors is out, but I think Boris Diaw does get the start in that situation. David Lee is a no for me. Tony Allen, yes, at 4K. Give me some of that Tony Allen, baby. Jermichael Green, yes. Give me some of that. I like that. Pour 'em on me, baby. JJ Barea is a player that I do love tomorrow at 4K. I like JJ Barea. Andre Roberson, not really. Solomon Hill is a no for me. Tony Parker is probably one of my favorite plays. That's at 4K or less, man. This is a game that they're gonna want to win. The Cleveland Cavaliers are gonna be playing very hard. We can always target any point guard that's matched up against Kyrie Irving. I think we can take our shot on Tony Parker. Scored 27 DraftKings points the last time out at 1% ownership. I had him, and I'm gonna have him again tonight. No Patty Mills for me. No Vince Carter. Lance Thomas is a game time decision. Yogi Ferrell, not a player that I'm particularly interested in. Neither is. Oh, well, no, I love Rodney Hood. 3.9, bro. Rodney Hood, just get him. I I like him. I mean, we've been through this before with Rodney Hood. When times I was like, yo, just play Rodney Hood, and it worked out. So I do like Rodney Hood at 3.9K. I think it's a very solid play. I really do. Kyle Quinn is considerable at 3.8. Jared Smith is a player that I kind of like at 3.8 if we don't see Danny Green for some reason. Danny Green was out the last time they played. He may come back and play. If he does play, I do like him. Papagiannis is not a player that I particularly like. Neither is Shelvin Mack if he does play. DeMar Carroll, if he does play, I kind of will consider him 3.7. It's a very cheap price where a guy's going to be starting and seeing 20 plus minutes. Kyle Korver is a no for me. Jeff Withey, not a player that I like. I do like Manu Ginobili at 3.6. Danny Green is playing tomorrow, and he's priced the same as Ginobili. So if I had to choose between Ginobili and Danny Green, I would rock with Danny Green. I just would. Andrew Harrison is a no for me. Joakim is out for 20 games for the PEDs. Aaron Baines, if you think the game's going to blow up against my New York Knicks, I think you can look to Aaron Baines to get you that cheap salary saving option at the center position. Jordan Crawford at 3.5. The kid's been playing pretty good lately, man, and I think I'm going to give him another shot tomorrow. He's going to see low ownership because he's going to get that. He's got that Utah. Oh, we're playing Utah Jazz discount. Channing Frye is a no. Justin Holiday, no. Tim Frazier, 3.4, bro. That is a mega. We're playing Utah in Salt Lake City discount. That's a major discount. I do like him, especially if he's going to be in the starting rotation. Give me that. I like Pat Patterson at 3.4 as well. Ron Baker's a no. Norman Powell, yes. Give me some of that Norman Powell, baby. 3.3? Shit. I like that. I like that. What is a 3K play that be like? Dwayne Dedman, no. I looked at this already, man. I really didn't see anything at 3K that I really liked, man. Maybe some Troy Daniels, maybe a Flalo if he does play. Who's the worst basketball player in the history of NBA? Brandon Wright, who had a pretty decent game out last time. Maybe him if we don't see Marc Gasol. Chasen Randall could see some quality minutes in some scrub love against the Detroit Pistons at home. Not too much else that I do like, man. Not too much else. So let's go ahead and roll through the point totals fairly quickly. We're going to jump into those. And, this time of year, the point totals mean different things, man. Right now, we're not really looking at the complete concept of the point total for both teams. What we're looking at is where Vegas projects each team, the team total. That's what we're going to look at. Because if it's a low team total, that means we can look more toward the studs in the game. If the team total is higher, the studs probably will come close to getting theirs. But that means we can look around to the helpers, the guys that are going to be helping the studs in order to achieve that, 100 plus point total. So let's go ahead and chop that up. Look into that. We're going to start in New York, where my Knicks will be hosting the Detroit Pistons. This is a no point total right now because, of course, we've got those game time decisions tagged for Carmelo Anthony as well as Lance Thomas. I can presume this is going to be a fairly low point total, somewhere around 2 or 3 maybe, where we got probably 100 points projected for 100 something projected for Detroit, and maybe 98 projected for the New York Knicks. That's going to lead me to stick to the guys for the Knicks that I think are going to be getting the most minutes. Guys like Guillermo Gomez is somebody who I like. Derrick Rose is somebody who I do like in this spot, as well as Mindaugas Kuzminskas. Those would be where I would go. On the Detroit side, Drummond, Harris, Marcus Morris, and of course John Lure are plays that I think are going to be very solid. I can definitely look to those. Next game we're going to be talking about is the Orlando Magic going to Toronto to take on the Raptors. This is a 206 point total. Of course, on the Toronto side, they're giving up 9 points. It's a 107.5 implied team total. DeMar DeRozan jumps off of the page for me, as well as Jonas Valanciunas at 4.7, while giving consideration to not only Serge Ibaka, because since this is a above 100-point total, we can look at some guys on the bench. Maybe Delon Wright. I kind of like him. Actually, I do. I love him in this spot. Patrick Patterson and Norman Powell. My favorite two plays off of the Toronto bench are going to be Delon Wright and Norman Powell. I really like those guys. So I've got 6 targets on the Toronto side because this score is enough to where we could see DeMar DeRozan get a solid helping of scoring in minutes, and also see some other guys chip in a game that could get out of hand. On the Orlando side, the only two guys that I'll be targeting in this game is going to be Aaron Gordon and Terrence Ross. I like nothing else for the Orlando Magic. And you're going to say, man, that's crazy, man. Nikolai Vucevic is very good. But at 7.8K, I think I can get the same production for a cheaper price, or maybe just a little bit, just a little bit, a little bit less, a little bit less. This game we're talking about is the nationally televised game. It is the Cleveland Cavaliers going to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. It is so hard to not roster LeBron James in a nationally televised game, bro. It is so hard because he balls out for the big lights. He just does that. But I just cannot get over the discount that we're going to get from one player to the next. LeBron James is matched up against Kawhi Leonard, who makes a second-ranked DVP against that small forward position. It's LeBron James. He is the king. He can do whatever he wants to do. But I'm not so sure that Kawhi Leonard can't do the same thing with the 22nd ranked DVP going in his favor. Now, I do have LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love highlighted as targets on the Cleveland side. Nothing on the bench. Maybe in some spots that Tristan Thompson play. Maybe. Because he's very cheap at 4.3K. He goes out and gets a double-double. You just hit the Christmas. You just hit Christmas. So I definitely think we're going to look at Tristan Thompson some. Kevin Love, I need to know where the minutes are with him. We're going to be checking out throughout the day to make sure that everything is going to be intact and he maybe see 25 to 30 minutes. Kyrie Irving is a player that I do love because, like I said earlier, we can attack San Antonio at the point guard spot, especially at the point guard spot on the perimeter. LeBron James, of course, is going to be a guy that's in play, but I like LaMarcus Aldridge matched up against Kevin Love. I think Tony Parker is going to be one of my favorite players on the slate. Very cheap 4K play there. We got Paul Gasol at 5.2 as well as Manu at 3.6. Those are both plays we can look at. Highlighting, 5 guys deep on the San Antonio side. We're talking Kawhi, one of my favorite plays on the slate. LaMarcus Aldridge, Tony Parker, Paul Gasol, and Manu Ginobili. The next game I'm going to get into is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. I had to tell you about the point totals in that Cleveland-San Antonio game. The Cleveland point total is 103.8. So that means I don't like nothing but the studs. Now, 108.3 is the San Antonio side. That means not only can I look to the stud, Kawhi, I can look around to the helpers as well in order to get those. So that's why I like the guys I like on the San Antonio side. The next game we're talking about is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder going to Dallas to take on the Mavericks. This is only a 1-point spread. Both of these teams are not very good. It's just that Oklahoma City has one of the best players in the league on their team that they're going to be in games. That's why you see these point totals the way they are, so close when it comes to Russell Westbrook and his Oklahoma City Thunder. The implied point total on the Oklahoma City Thunder side is 103.5. So I like a couple of guys here. I think Enes Kanter is a very solid play off of the bench at 5.4. I like Taj Gibson to kind of get it in against the last ranked defense against the power forward position. I also like Vic Oladipo in the 12th ranked DVP at 6K. Now, Taj Gibson was 4.1. That's very palatable, especially if you're trying to get Russell Westbrook in. This could be a stack option if you like, because of course I'm going to issue out my core 4 plays. I'm going to let you guys know who's going to be my core 4. But definitely you can stack this slate. This is a stackable slate because there's just so much star power involved in some of these games. So Russell Westbrook, of course, at 12.5. I like him. I've got him scheduled to score about 70 DraftKings points. So I think he's going to outscore his last performance by 10 points. I'm all good with that. On the Dallas side, maybe some Harrison Barnes might be good for you at 6.3. Had a really good game out last time, even though they wasn't playing for nothing. That kind of shows me that this guy has integrity. This guy has character. He still wants to go out and play hard. I can see that happening. Dirk Nowitzki is a player that I do like at 6K flat. We can also look at Wesley Matthews at 5.1 as well as my favorite play from this game. It's going to be J.J. Barea at 4K. And you can see me have 2 point guards. Yeah, and the thing I like about Barea is he is point guard and shooting guard eligible. So you might see me start coming up with a backcourt of Tony Parker and J.J. Barea and just stir it up the rest of the way. I can definitely do that. Now, next game I'm going to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies going to Sacramento to take on the Kings. We don't have a point total yet for this game because we do have some injury concerns. We know that Marc Gasol did not play on Sunday. He is now a game time decision. We've got Costa Kufas as well as Aaron Aflalo. They were out yesterday as well, and they could play tonight. Of course, Ty Lawson he was a late scratch. He was a late scratch. Good thing I didn't have him anywhere. So he is somebody who may not play tonight. So we want to be, abreast of what's going on. I know Tyreek Evans is a guy that I like at 4.5K if we know he's going to play. Garrett Temple kind of interests me at 4.1. What you say, Dave? I gotta go use my bathroom. Why? Because I gotta use the bathroom. Well, use your bathroom. Go use your bathroom, Dave. Sorry, I'm a dad. She had to use the bathroom. And well, the funny thing, when you tell me if you gotta use the bathroom. Stop peeing up your clothes. You better tell me if you gotta use the bathroom. So, and this was almost like 2 years ago. So up for the last 2 years, every time she has to use the bathroom, before she goes, she comes and tells me. And I'd be like, why are you telling me that? Why don't you just go? You told me to come tell you I gotta use the bathroom. Smart ass. That's my baby though. That's my baby. So, and it's like 3 in the morning. She's like 4 in the morning. I gotta use the bathroom, Daddy. She's up watching TV. All right. So, Buddy Hield. This guy is still playing for something. He's playing to show that he belongs in the league. He wants us to believe that he is a good player. I think he does believe that. I'm not sure I do, but I think he's going to play like it today. And against the 28th ranked DVP, against the shooting guard position, I have no issue rostering him. I've got him in my player pool. And what I'm doing, as I went through the player pricing, I'm adding cats to my pool, man. This is what I'm doing. And this is what I want you to do. Y'all want you to watch the show, develop your player pool, sleep on it or chill on it. Get up, refreshed, come up with your core 4 plays, and then look around. See what I do? I look around. Once I wake up in the morning, I've got 4 guys on my mind that I'm going to be playing. I get up, I do a quick research, look at my player pool, pull those 4 guys from it. Then I go out and I find out what everybody else is talking about. I watch all the other shows. If you got a show out there, I'm watching your shit, no matter what it is. If it's a bullshit lineup seller, or one of those big major sites that's trying to mislead people, no matter what you're doing, I'm watching your shit. I watch everything. And I don't unlike shit. A lot of people, they do that to me. They come and watch the show, then they put a thumbs down. Like nah, bitch, you a motherfucking snowflake. I don't do that. I go watch your shit, and if I like it, I give it a thumbs up. If I don't like it, I keep it moving. I'm not gonna thumbs down your shit, because I ain't no bitch. That's some bitch shit, but whatever. So, Costa Kufas was out. Aaron Aflalo was out. We just talked about that. Darren Collison, interesting spot for him there too. We know that they can give it up to point guards. Mike Conley is not the defender that we all thought he was. So he definitely deserved consideration at 4.7K. Darren Collison's at 4.7K, bro. That's a steal. Even against Mike Conley, that's a fucking steal. And I'm gonna have exposure, definitely. On the other side, Mike Conley does interest me at 7.5. If I had to choose between him and Collison matched up, I would definitely take the discount in Collison. I do like Tony Allen at 4K flat, very solid. He had a nice game out yesterday against the Golden State Warriors. No Vince Carter. If Marc Gasol plays, fire him the fuck up. If he doesn't, you can look to Zach Randolph and maybe some Brandon Wright. There is no point total yet involved in this game because we do have those injuries and those concerns as far as Marc Gasol being a game time decision, as well as Costa Kufas, Aaron Aflalo, Ty Lawson, and Malachi Richardson being out for the next few games. This game we're going to talk about is the New Orleans Pelicans going to Utah to take on the Jazz. There is not a point total yet released for this game because we know that DeMarcus Cousins sat out yesterday and could be a game time decision tonight, as well as Omar Asik being out. On the Utah side, we've got Gordon Hayward as a game time decision, as well as Derek Favors being out and Sheldon Mack being a game time decision there. If Hayward plays, give me some Hayward. I do like Rudy Gobert. We know that the New Orleans Pelicans give it up to the center spot. Rodney Hood, for me, is just too cheap at 3.9. I like the spot that he is in. On the other side, we don't see DeMarcus Cousins. Give me some AD automatically. I like Drew Holiday in this spot as well. That's going to be a heavily contrarian play. Nobody's going to want to play him against George Hill defense, which I think is so great. But he could be matched up against Rodney Hood if we see Tim Frazier get to start again, which I would like Tim Frazier at 3.4K. I think it's a very solid price. So my targets for New Orleans are going to be Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, and Tim Frazier. For the Utah side, it's going to be Rodney Hood, Gordon Hayward, and Rudy Gobert. Now that we have talked about uh, tonight's 6-game slate, just want to thank you again for being so involved, coming into the sweatshop. We've got a very awesome uh, 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 6-game slate we're going to be jumping into, as well as the rest of the week. Remember, man, things are going to get smoother from here. I know it's been pretty crazy lately with the blowouts and the crazy busted uh, uh, rotations we've been seeing. Shit's been real, but now we know who ain't got shit to play for, and we know who has something to play for. Better than any week, better than the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks have been crazy. Now we know, what we're looking at as far as the playoff picture as it continues to take shape. So roster accordingly. Uh, remember, baseball 7 days away. We about to get to it, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited because finally I have a strong group, man. I'm 1,000 strong, man. I have a very strong group, guys that know DFS. They know that this is more than just the plays. They know this is just more than just the numbers. They know it's more than basketball. It's more than baseball. It is fucking poker, and that's the way we're looking at this shit, man. We are ready to take on the Sharks. We are ready to move as one unified, gelling unit and go ahead and just and take this shit over, man. Complete the takeover. Because by the time we get into football, baby, oh my God. By the time we get into football, the live final gonna be in Waikiki. We going in. So thank you for being a part of the show. If you would like to support the show more than you already are, because you are supporting the show in its purest form by giving me a voice on YouTube, you can definitely check that box over there. It says support the show. Also, I'm going to be running another promotion to get some sweatshop swag going, so be on the lookout for that. Also, you can hit my personal PayPal at simmonsmaurice95@yahoo.com. And if you want to become a full-fledged member of the DFS Sweatshop, it's very simple, man. Just go to the website at www.dfssweatshop.com. That is where you receive all of our tips and tricks and tutelage that is designed, made, manufactured to make you a profitable daily fantasy sports player. Now, upon your paid subscription, I would let up the velvet rope and allow you entry into the very best Facebook group online, man. This is a very solid group of cats, man. These cats are family. You know what I'm saying? Like I know the bulk of these cats. I can almost tell when I'm about to post some shit. I can tell, and I see because you know how you see on Facebook, you see somebody's typing, you see somebody is typing. I can tell who it is. I can just tell who it is. Either it's DP coming with some shit, Derek Patterson coming with some shit. It's Rudy hit me up. It's fucking Jay Guns is getting it in. Kurt Cover gonna say something. You know what I'm saying? Chad gonna say something. I already these are my dude. These are my guys, man. And if I didn't call your name, don't take offense because I see you too, and I love all of y'all, man. And I want y'all to meet me today at 3:30 in the midday mix. Once I get up in the morning and I go out and I look at all the information, I see what everybody's who the major sites are telling you to play or they're telling you not to play. I bring that information back to the midday mix and we chop that shit all the way up. We separate the good chalk from the bad chalk. We understand that the MB is going to give us certain plays when it comes to injury, rest, suspension, things of that nature. So it's very dope the way we do this, man. We got the homie that's back testing the perfect lineup shits. We gonna talk about that on tonight's show. I'm gonna have him on tonight's show so we can explain that to you way better than I can, man. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. Thank you so much for being involved in my life, coming into my living room, providing for me and my family. Thank you all so much for all that you do. Y'all go out, have a very profitable start to your week on Monday, and keep it 300.